It's time for episode 8. Hey guys, welcome to World of Tanks Replays. I'm Mark again. How's it going? Today, it's episode 8, which means it's the M41 Walker Bulldog. Very exciting. Light tank, tier 7. It's one of the new ones out of 9.3. I can never remember exactly when everything comes out. Either way, M41 Walker Bulldog, scout tank, phenomenal tank. Arguably one of the best tier 7 scout tanks. Well, there's only a handful, but one of the best tier 7 scout tanks out there. You see a ton of use in esports right now. It's really, really common. You're actually seeing, because of the change in format, you're seeing a lot of teams take those two tier 7 M41s rather than take the tier 8, tier 6 like what some people were expecting. So if you're interested in esports, check it out. Season 5 just started yesterday, actually, for the WGLNA, which is awesome. Watched some really, really good games. Noble team, formerly known as Googly Boppers, phenomenal showing. I think they won, I want to say 5-1. Might have been 5-2. Just really, really strong play. I think they look really good. If they keep that up, they're going to go really far. That was the one that really stuck out for me. The other games were kind of, it's okay. But Noble was the one that really, really stood out. And I really liked their gameplay. Either way, back to the M41 Walker Bulldog. Today I've got 3 games set up for you guys as usual. We're going to start off with a standard game. Then we're going to move into a very, very good game. And we're going to finish with an epic replay. So, 3 right? Good, better, best. Nice and easy. There's not much else to say. Oh, no, I do want to talk about the tank a little bit. Because at the top, you have 2 options. Because the gun is basically the same damage and penetration at every single level. So when you get a new gun, what you're basically upgrading is you're upgrading rate of fire, you're upgrading accuracy, you're upgrading aim time. And by accuracy, I mean dispersion, in case, depending on your terminology. The point is that that's basically what you're upgrading, but at the top, you have 2 options. You either have a consistent single fire gun or a 10-round autoloader. We're actually going to see both of them used in today's replays. Games 1 and 3, I believe, use the 10-round autoloader, and game number 2 is going to use the more consistent fire. And they all make it work, so it's all down to personal preference on whether you want a relatively higher rate of fire for 10 rounds and then a long reload. I think it's about 30 seconds-ish. Or you want a consistent rate of fire at about 17 rounds a minute. It's a decision you have to make as a player, and because there's no damage trade-off and the dispersion and aim time values are roughly the same, it really comes down to if you want that long reload or not. It's your call, and I really like that about the tank. I wish that there were more distinct side grades. The only other tank that I can really think of that does that off the top of my head is the new KV-85, which came out at the same time, where you basically have 2 options. You have the old 122 that the KV-1S was famous for, which is now, I think it's less accurate and definitely has a longer reload. Or you can do the 100mm, which you find a lot of people use on some of the tier 7 tanks. I think it's the tier 7 tanks that get it, which is a 175 250, I think it is, versus a 175 390. Personally, I like the 100 a lot better, just because 390 you don't necessarily need at tier 6, 7, but having the quick reload of the 100mm is phenomenal. So, there's a little bit of background for tanks. You learn a little bit every day. But first, I want to get into the match. We'll just start off right away in game number 1. Here we get going. I have to put my hand on my keyboard because I need to know where my scene switches are. Alright, let's get game number 1 underway. Alright, let me remember what I'm doing here. Back to battle. And we'll get this going. So I'm going to speed through this.
Let's go.
So, now at tier number 1, this is our standard game. This battle is brought to us, if I can find it, So this is a standard battle on Fiery Salient, as you can see, from a EU player by the name of Bartolo11. And actually all 3 games today are from players on the EU server. Now, as I've said previously, I think a large part of that is due to the sheer number of EU players versus NA players. I was playing earlier today. We had a grand total of 20,000 players on both servers. Meanwhile, the EU servers have between 30 and 40,000 each. So it just goes to show the difference. I don't know why it's not as popular in NA, but it certainly is. So what we see the Bulldog here doing is Bartolo is moving up into this middle area. Since he's fairly fast, he can actually play the ridgeline reasonably well. He doesn't have much armor to speak of. I believe it's only 25 millimeters. It's basically enough to stop small arm rounds, but that's about it. But he's still, because he's got a good amount of mobility, he's able to play the ridgeline. He's also got decent gun depression, so he's able to play the ridgeline back and forth to try and get shots over the top. Now, the unfortunate thing is the enemy team isn't playing very nice, but he manages to get a shot into that Type 64 for his second shot of the battle. I don't have my alt set up here, so I don't know exactly. Let's see. I'm not sure exactly what he shot, but he finishes off at 203, which is good, but takes a big hit from the Borsig there. A big chunk of hit points that he wishes he could have back. Now, considering how much came off there, it's likely that Borsig is using the 409 damage gun rather than the 700, I think it is. Since we see about 600 damage come off there. It could have been either one, considering that fell right into the range between the two. Otherwise, he's going to take some shots here on this FCM-50T, the French premium tier 8 medium tank. Sorry, heavy tank, although frankly it's fast enough, it's a medium tank. Gets a couple of rounds in, looks like 3 hits for a little bit more damage. So he's sitting at 682. The game is kind of stalemated right now, which tends to happen on this map. Both this one and its counterpart, which is both this map and its counterpart. Collect my thoughts here for a second. If you don't push this this 1-2 line here, if neither team pushes it, then what you end up is this very divisive map where one team stays on one side, the other team stays on the other side, which is a really, really different play from the way this particular map gets in esports, where actually the splitting line is this this railroad here. So one team will take this area, and one team will take this. I've noticed too that every time, since I'm on follow player, every time it zooms in, it resets my mouse, which is somewhat frustrating. Wargaming, if you're ever going to fix your replay system, that's one of the things I want you to fix. It's a really weird bug. Either way, it looks like they're trying to make a push up near this the track crossing there. They've taken out a couple of tanks. They've made a push. They've got, looks like 4 tanks there, a T-71, the Bulldog, the T-34-2. In the meantime, that enemy Bulldog took out the T-25-2. So our Bulldog just hasn't really had a lot of opportunities for shots. He knows where everybody is. Everybody's getting spotted, but he's just not able to make those shots count. And in part, it's because he's playing this middle, which is a very thankless position. Because you can spot and spot and spot and spot, but a lot of times you're not going to get the shots. You'll notice too that he has what I would argue a fairly unique setup, which is that he's not running any heat rounds in the tank. Now, considering that it's a tier 7 scout tank, I would say that because you're likely to see 8, 9, and 10, I would carry at least a clip of heat. Now, in part, you end up running into the same problem that you do with the bat chat. Now, with the bat chat, you basically don't run a separate ammo. You either take all APCR or all heat, not both. And the reason for that is because it's a clip loader and the bat chat has limited damage, you can actually end up with not having two mostly empty clips, which is potentially part of a problem with this tank as well.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
So it may be that instead it's a better idea to just stick with, if you're going with the autoloader, now that I'm actually thinking through it more, if you're going with the autoloader, you should stick to one ammo type, because you're going to be reloading and you don't want to end up with, say, 6 or 5 or 2. You imagine 2 heat rounds, which is basically useless ammunition that you aren't able to utilize. So they finally managed to make a push. They get it all the way through. He's only at 1,000 damage, but I'm sure he's got lots of spotting. He finally spots the Yag Tiger, and it's just going to unload that full clip of damage right into the side of that Yag Tiger. 6 shots, 5 shots left, 4 shots, and 3 shots for the kill. And that's the end of that. 2,000 damage, 3 kills. All in all, pretty average game. Playing that middle is really, really difficult. And I've watched this replay a couple of times, and I can't really pinpoint exactly where I think that he went wrong. He survives. He's a formidable... People are afraid in part of the M41 specifically because of the amount of damage it can put out. Right? You don't want to, especially with that Bulldog there on that level, you don't want to cross over that ridge to go get him. One, because he's got a great rate of fire and can do a ton of damage. And 2, that you don't know how many of his friends are just waiting for you to cross. So, like I was saying, that map ends up kind of building up a stalemate until one flank ends up falling apart. And it's usually either the road, so the road, so if this is the mini-map, right, and 1 is over here, and 09 is over here, right? So this is that road that the TDs always camp, and the hill is over here. Either you push this, or it gets crushed. Or you push this, or it gets crushed. The middle tends to just sit there. And in part, that's where Portolo 11 was stuck. I think that he could have had a much, much better game, possibly even an ace tanker, if he had maybe been a little more aggressive, but also gone onto a flank, potentially the hillside or the road, somewhere where maybe he could use his spotting a little more effectively. He was kind of stuck dealing with just 2 or 3 tanks and kind of holding them at bay while the rest of the team was dealing with the rest of the tanks. All right, let me load up the second one here. So this next game, I'm going to look at my notes over here again. I'm finding that actually having notes is really nice. It allows me to make sure that I don't have to go right. So I'm gonna try and use them more as we go on, which will be good. I think it's good for you guys to watch because I'm not sitting here twiddling my thumbs trying to think of something to say, and I have something to say, so I don't have to produce a video that is just me sitting here thinking about stuff. So game number 2 is an encounter battle on Siegfried line from another EU player called Bears the Best. That's B-A-R-S-Z. There's a lot of Bears SZ in the EU servers, so I don't know if there's a language reference there that I'm just a dumb American, I don't understand. But that's okay. Alright, top over to game number 2, where we are underway as we speak. So, here we have a tier 8 battle for our tier 7 scout. Very, very good matchmaking. And thanks to XVM being installed, we can actually see the skill of the players involved. We have a fairly decent range, but the good guys, as I'll say, seem to have slightly better a team play. Now he's using binoculars here along with a camo nut, so he's really doing a scout run, and that scout has certainly paid off. He spotted basically all of their heavies as they're moving through this. So he's not using the autoloader, he's using that standard gun. So he's just sitting here spotting everybody. Lots of shots. He's already up to 600-700 damage, because I don't know if that other shot into that KV-3 went in. And is just absolutely dominating that heavy push right there. They might actually lose another tank, and they do. So 2 tanks down already, and we're just over a minute in. And he is getting an absolute ton of spotting damage. Alright, he finally takes a hit. I don't know whether that was a blind shot or whether that was spotted. I'm not sure. My guess, because he's probably running 6th Sense, that was a blind shot. A lucky blind shot. So he finishes off the T-34. He takes a lucky hit from that KV-3, but if he's got 6th Sense, he knows that he's not spotted, and that was just a lucky shot, trying to get him to maybe move. $1,300 damage, plus maybe any done. That was blind. He's just going to sit here and spot for a little bit before it's finally time to move out. So he's got to be careful. With only 910 hit points at tier 8, you really have to be careful with that, because you can't throw any away. There's a lot of tanks that do that much damage. The KV-2, for example, does that much damage in a shell, and because you only have 25 armor, if that shell penetrates your armor, you're dead. No questions about it. You really have to be careful about, what shells you take, what shells you don't take, and protect those precious hit points, because they evaporate very, very quickly. Even if we consider something like an IS or an IS-3, the guns on those tanks do, and then the KV-3 as another example, the guns on those have an average damage of 390. But, fire with an automatic fire extinguisher, that's going to be expensive. Either way, if we look at just average damage, 2 shots with 390 puts us at 780 damage, which means we're only 130 damage away. And you can very, very easily roll high twice, and all of a sudden your 3-shot tank has turned into a 2-shot tank. So we see the Walker Bulldog here is doing all sorts of work. Right around 2,000 damage. Who knows how much spotting, 3 kills, and his team is even with the enemy team. And now they're losing. So they've been absolutely crushed in the town, even after all that work and all that assistance that the Bulldog did early on. It shows really, really good play by the enemy team. In addition, we can look at the tanks and realize that it's an IS-3, an IS, an SU-122-44, an SU-152, and a T-71 versus a Tiger P, a Cheery, our hero Bulldog. Looks like a Churchill, a T-50, and a 3601H. So originally that was definitely in the favor of the enemies, but due to some smart play by the Bulldog and some good shots by his friendlies, especially that Cheery. Looks like he's doing all sorts of work with that 3-round autoloader. They managed to pull it out, and now all that's left, little T-71 and the IS. IS takes a hit from what I would assume is the Cheery. Could be the 3601H, but considering the frequency of the shots, I would suggest that's the Cheery taking 2 shots there. Bulldog is going to go in and try and get the kill here. Bounces the first one off the turret. Takes the second one into the side. And as he's backing up, puts the third one right into the front of the turret for the kill. 5 kills, 2,622 damage, plus any extra that he did in the blind. Now he's just got to track down that T-71. Who already takes a hit from the Churchill 7. Let's see if he can't get that 6th kill and sweep up
Ready to fire.
the top gun. Oh, misses. It's a shot he's going to want to have back.
Enemy armor
Takes a shot in
is damaged.
T-51. Oh, the Churchill kills it. Doesn't quite let him get the top gun. Bummer. It was really close, but a phenomenal, phenomenal game. At the end of that, recorded it to XVM. He has 2,736 damage. I can actually pull up I have it on this screen, I think. Yes, Bears the Best got Tanker Sniper for doing all sorts of damage. Let's see here. So 3,196 was his total damage, and 3,676 was his total spotted. So, phenomenal play by Bears the Best. Really, really good. But it's not as good as our top game this week, or today. Our top game today is brought to us by another EU player by the name of Tired. Now, he's a blue player, really good. Not quite Unicum level. Well, I guess you could call him a Unicum at blue, but he's a phenomenal player. I'll let the battle speak for itself. Just think, though, with the game as good as we just saw, and it's going to get better, are you excited? Because I'm excited. Alright, so this is another encounter battle. I find that encounter battles, tanks like this really seem to shine because the teams themselves tend to break apart. You get a lot of them going towards the cap on one side, just a few defending, and so if you're fast enough, you can really make a lot of tactical moves that allow you to do a ton of damage without getting shot back. And we're going to see this in this battle. So, counter battle on everyone's favorite Metavenka. Again, it's another EU player. Hey guys, if you're an American and you play on NA, you got to upload those replays or you got to send them to me. Because if you don't, they're never going to make it to the show. Alright, let's go look. Game 3, epic game of the day. Alright, we're going to fast forward through the replay here. There we go. So again, very fortuitous matchmaking. As a matter of fact, this is even better than the last battle, where we see only 4 tier 8s. This is about as good as you can get in the M41. The only way you could do better is if there was only 1, but that's pretty rare. So he's going to push into this bush here. Again, he's using the autoloader with 7 full clips, no binoculars, possibly coated optics.
We didn't even scratch them.
But he's going to take shots on this KV4. Punches through one, punches through another. Black Prince shows up. He's going to start opening up on the Black Prince. Shot in.
Enemy
Another
armor
shot.
damaged. Enemy is hit. Penetration.
No, misses that one just over the back.
Enemy
And
armor
another
is
one in.
damaged.
So, first clip, 10 rounds. 7 of them go in for 1,050 damage. We're just at a minute, and he's already at 1,000 damage. He's definitely doing work. Meanwhile, a friendly T-71 seems like he goes down. We're almost got to reload. The reload on this tank, like I said, for the full clip is somewhere between 30 and 35 seconds. So you have quite a while before the reload, enough to reposition if you want. He takes a hit for just over 100. It's probably from that T-37 right there. So he's going to put him out of his misery. 9 rounds left. Let's see if he can hit that SU-152 there as he pokes over. Is there a shot there? Hard to say. But what there is a shot on is that SU-152. Let's see if he can't put some hurt on him.
Penetrate their armor.
First shot bounces. Second shot goes in.
Enemy
Third
armor
shot goes in.
damaged.
Gonna back off with 6 rounds. It got a little jerky there, and I'm not entirely sure why. Whether that's the replay or whether that's my computer. He's gonna push into this bush here. Sees that Black Prince that he hammered earlier. Meanwhile, the enemy team is capping, which is fine. He's welcome to do that.
Got him.
They're welcome to do that. But Tired here is not worried in the slightest. He knows that he's got enough speed that even if they were to destroy all the tanks that were over there on that flank, he would still have plenty of time to get over there and reset.
Enemy is hit.
So he's got 5 rounds left. He's going to put these 5, hopefully, in that 3485. Nope. It's going to get away, and so he's going to go ahead and reload those last 3 rounds to get a full clip in about 35 seconds. In the meantime, while he's reloading, that 3485 is taking about 300 points of damage, making him a one-shot kill. And that Black Prince, oh, that Black Prince, he's been hurting. But there's a more immediate threat. The more immediate threat is that IS-6, that troll IS-6 armor.
Enemy armor is hit.
Looks like instead he's going to go after this Tiger. Tiger takes a hit.
Enemy is hit.
Takes a hit. Oh, sets him on fire. What a shot. He's going to burn all the way down. And down he goes. And even after all this work that Tide's been doing, he's at 3,000 damage, and they're tied 6-6. This team is in dire need of a carry.
Penetration.
So he's going to put a shot into the I-6, another shot. Oh, almost finishes him off, but only 11 hit points. All he had to do was roll just higher than average, and he'd been able to finish him off and save a shell. Instead, he's going to reload. Oh, but he wishes he has that shot now. One more shot on that ISU-152 with that giant BL-10 cannon. Would be really nice to have that shell right now. Instead, he's going to wait. Looks like he's got about 8 seconds left on his reload. He's going to push over here. There it is. Oh, 152 just misses. That would have been a death for sure. Instead, he's going to do one shot into the Black Prince, one shot into the ISU-152, and the T1, a T1 apparently, which I didn't notice at the beginning, is going to go down to the Carnivon. Wasn't even worth the shot price. But they're now winning 12-8, although the enemy team has completely taken over the cap circle. Thankfully, Tired knows he has plenty of speed to go around. He's sitting at 3,553 damage after doing 26 hits. He's having a phenomenal game. And there's still 3 tanks with lots of hit points left for him to take for himself. And 5 kills, too. Tiger 1 goes down, removing the possibility of a Bradley Walters. He'll put a shot into the rear, Super Pershing, another shot, and another fire!
Enemy armor is hit.
2 fires on tanks.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
Absolutely phenomenal. It's going to finish off the T-2064. Now it's a KV-4. He's got Top Gun secured. He's at 4,500 damage. It's going to bounce off the rear. He's going to put another one to the KV-4. Last shot. Another fire. 3 fires on tanks. 6 kills, 5,165 damage, and 35 shells. Absolutely phenomenal play by Tired. I love it. I love how he played that. Tried to take that bush early, got spotted, but still managed to deal a ton of damage in that first volley. And then he just plays it smart. If he's down below 5 rounds, he goes ahead and reloads if there's not an immediate engagement, which means he always has plenty of ammunition to shoot downrange. Excellent! What a bunch of great games. And there's a ton of them. If you guys are curious, go to WoTreplays.com. You can search for the M41 Walker Bulldog. There's a ton of them. They're all over the place. I wasn't able to find many as good as this one. This one is just phenomenal. Tired, if you keep playing like that, man, you're going to be purple in no time. But great play. So, tomorrow is the last day. I'm only doing 3 days a week. I'm still trying to find those Panzer IV Hydrostat replays. If I can't seem to find them, then again we're going to postpone that until I'm able to accumulate enough of them. Up until that point, we're actually going to do then the Type 64. So tomorrow's the premium day. Stay tuned. Until next time, happy tanking, guys. Bye.